After the splendor of Yoruba, a series of horrific civil wars led to the death or enslavement of vast numbers of Yorubas and Fons and their neighbors. During this dark period, their homeland became known by Europeans as the Slave Coast. Only the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade in the early 19th century allowed Yoruba kingdoms to regain stability. By the late 19th and earliest 20th century, a wide range of objects, art styles, and art events had developed in a number of Yoruba centers. Some of the art forms were found throughout Yoruba land, while others were purely local. So now we're going to look at royal art. Much of the art produced in the Yoruba region calls attention to the king and his court. As a visible symbol of the deity, the king is the high priest of the community. Although Yoruba kings are free to appear in public today, in the past they were confined to the palace, making public appearances only when the welfare of the state required them to participate in public ceremonies. Even in these instances, the individuals who held the office were not really seen, for royal garb concealed their identity, emphasizing instead the mysterious and scarce nature. And so what I'm showing you here is a king, and you can see that the headdress that the king wears here has this veil of beads, made out of beads. And the idea is that when you look upon him, you can never really truly see his face. So when the king wears the fringe crown, the idea is that his motif is being changed. His outer head is covered by the crown, and his inner head becomes one with the sacred authority and power, Ashi, for the ancestors. He cannot touch the earth and thus stands on a mat cloth, sitting in state. His feet rest on a decorative cushion or footstool. His own face disappears behind the veil, and the face of the royal ancestors stare out instead. It is the vision of dynasty that is emphasized rather than the individual who wears the crown. So what I'm showing you here is a piece of ivory that's carved into the form of this female figure, and this is related directly to the religious belief. We have the woman who is kneeling here, and the concept is that she's kneeling before the god who is selecting her destiny. And the woman in general within the society is considered to be the ultimate container or life force. And this makes sense because she gives birth to children, right? So we see this really beautiful decorative pattern here, and she's wearing these bracelets and decorative pattern within her hair. And as the artwork we just recently looked at before, she has rather large eyes with the inset kind of pupil here and large eyelids. So next we're looking at a couple of the images of the gods. So we have Ogun, the lord of iron and war, which is represented here. So as the god of iron, Ogun's impact is ubiquitous, for metal affects every aspect of civilization. As warrior, Ogun moves forward and conquers expanding frontiers. As defender, he uses weapons to protect and shield. As master blacksmith, he is patron to smiths, makers of tools and weapons. And also as the ultimate, he is the ultimate artist. As the consummate farmer, he oversees farms, implements made of his iron. In modern times, he continues to gather adherents from all who use steel are his, including hunters, soldiers, truck drivers, auto mechanics, and computer technicians. So this one is dedicated to the god Orisha, who is the cultivator of medicine. And we have this evokes his relationship to Ogun, and it's showing how this concept of the mother, what they call our mother, is working in harmony with all of the parts of the society, and encouraging them to cure rather than to hurt. So here I'm showing you Shango, and this is the god of thunder and lightning. And we see that the double axe motif atop this piece is actually the metaphor for the thunderbolt. And this is what the god hurls down from the sky at those who do not respect him. So what I'm showing you here are the figures from the southern Yoruba in the Remo area. And like all igangan from the region, they are fashioned in cloth. Costumes of brilliant patchwork panels trimmed in red move and flare, rise and fall as the dancers swirl. And I have a video up of this because I think you really shouldn't just view it like this in a static photograph. You really have to see it in motion, and also a little bit of the history of this and the concept of the it's like a space between the real world and the spiritual world that's achieved in these masquerades, which is quite interesting and beautiful. So please watch that video.